Welcome back. Today we're going to start a new series where we are going to take a look at how you can set up the Hudson build server for a project. There are a few different build servers on the market, some free, some commercial, and for whatever reason, the Hudson product does not get a lot of love within the .NET community. I've been using Hudson for quite some time and found it to be a solid quality product, and the price is right. It's free. In this series, I will walk you through the various steps on how to set up, configure, and maintain Hudson for a .NET-based product. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you need to do for Hudson is download the Java JDK installed on your build box, if you haven't already done so. The reason for this is Hudson's a Java-based product. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do it now. We'll wait. Great, so you have it installed. The next thing we need to do after we've installed it is to download the latest build of Hudson. This episode, the latest build was 1.03. There might be future builds that maybe install slightly different, but if it's as of that 1.303, you'll be good to go. So once you've downloaded and unpacked it into a folder, you're ready to get rolling. For a Windows environment, it's best to install Hudson as a server. But before you can set it up as a service, But before you can do that, you actually have to get it up and running. And to do this, all you have to do is go to and open up a command prompt. So I've already got a command prompt here. I've unpacked my Hudson files into a folder called C Hudson. And if I show you the contents of that, there's just a few different things in that. Now, in order to get Hudson up and running, just type in the jar command, and you're going to do hudson.war. And that will launch Hudson as the server, but it won't be as a service. So if you kill this command prompt, you're going to kill the server. So once all that's up and running, all you have to do is navigate to your browser, do localhost 8080, and that should launch the Hudson product. So we now have Hudson up and running. It is running on our build box. As you can see, I have nothing on it. No builds are running at this point in time. The next thing we're going to want to do after you've got it up and running is to set it up to be a Windows service. So let's go ahead and do that now. Now, install Hudson as a service. All you have to do is come over and click Manage Hudson, which will take you to the Hudson Management Console. And they made it very easy for us. All you have to do is click the Install as Service link. Once you do that, it's going to ask you where do you actually want to install it. I'm going to install mine to C Hudson. And then you click Install. And this is going to turn for a few seconds. It's going to run a couple commands. But within a few seconds, you should get this screen right here saying your installation is successful and it's complete. And do you want to stop this Hudson as to start the newly installed Windows service? I'm going to go ahead and click yes. So we're going to wait here while Hudson restarts, and we'll be back in a second. Now, once Hudson gets finished restarting the Windows service, it should come to this screen right here, which will ask you, to create new jobs. It's at this point that you're ready to set up and you're ready to start rolling with Hudson. Now, in this episode, we're just going to do the very simple basic setup. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing you want to do is click New Job. And you want to give it a job name. We can give it any name we want. I'm going to be doing some tests with Image Sizer, so we'll do Image Sizer Simple Build. And do you want it to be a management project, external, freestyle? We're going to do freestyle for our project here. Now I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And the freestyle lets you basically configure it so it runs off, any Nant scripts or subversion, use a subversion, anything like that. It's basically you set up the way you want to use it. Now here we're going to, you see the basic configuration screen for setting up a build. You can give it a project name, a description. If you don't want to disable a build, which is maybe something you want to do if you're in maintenance mode on the build, so it doesn't build while people are checking in, you can click here and disable it. There's a couple advanced options. I set a quiet period. 60 seconds isn't long enough for me. This is a global level variable you can set. So if you want to go back to the management the management console, you can set this. Instead of being 60 seconds, maybe you want it to be 600 seconds, so 10 minutes. Who knows? Your project, you decide. You can set up your source control. By default, it comes with the CVS and Subversion plugins already installed. I'll bounce over to the plugin screen here in a minute and show you how you can set those things up. It does support TFS and VSS and all the various different source control tools. Now, if I want to add a build step, such as a Nant script or batch command or invoke ant, whatever the case may be. You can choose that option right here. And then if there's some post-build actions that can take place, and depending on what you've installed, you can do different things with that. So let's go ahead and bounce over to the management console and take a look at the various plugins. Now, if you come to the management console, there's a link here called Manage Plugins. This will allow you to download and install new plugins. And you can see I've already got the Nant plugin installed. In fact, there's actually an update for it. But you can take a look at all the available plugins. You can see there's quite a bit of them. Now, because Hudson's a Java-based product, a lot of the plugins are for the Java community, which is probably why this Hudson product doesn't get as much love in the .NET community. But you know what? They're all the plugins you need for the .NET developers are here as well. So let's go ahead and, what do we want to download? If you're a Git user, you can download Git. Let's download the MS Test and MS Build plugin. All you have to do is click those, scroll down to the very bottom, click Install. It'll take you to the install screen, and once it verifies you can install, it'll say, everything's installed, and you simply restart the service. Okay, now that our plugins have installed and our service is going ahead and restarting, you should bounce back to the screen here that's telling you that Hudson's restarting. Now we've done that, let's go ahead and do one thing. Let's actually set up our build real quick just to simply pull and maybe run a simple Nant script. So let's go ahead and click the link here. I'm going to come over to Configure. And once we're on this screen, here's where we want to set up a few options. Now for this build, we're going to make it very simple, very straightforward. I'm just going to simply pull from subversion, tell it when to pull, so how often to check source control, and I'm going to set up a simple Nant script. So let's go ahead and click subversion here. And you just have to provide a few simple piece of information. The first is the repository URL. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that in, and you can provide any valid URL. Now if you want to put an optional module on where to get this information, you can do that here. It's asking me for credentials, so hold on, let me provide those real quick. Once I've done that, it's telling me it's successful. So I'm not going to worry about this message right now, it's fine. Next thing we're going to do is pull source control management. Now you can provide various pieces of information. Now if you click the little question marks over here, you can actually get the inline help, and it can tell you the various ways you can set up the source control polling. I want it to poll every minute, so I'm going to copy and paste in the example for every minute, which is where you provide all the stars. If you want to do it hourly or daily or whatever the case may be, read this documentation. It can explain to you in more detail how to do that. Then last, I want to set it up so I build a Nant target. I've already set up a Nant version here, and all you have to do is basically tell it what Nant version to use, and you can do this within the global configuration screen. And then you basically need to tell it a Nant build, so I'm going to do this simple build. And I don't remember the main target for this. Just build. So I'm going to tell it that to run the build target. Then I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now if I want to actually build that right now, all I have to do is click the Build Now, or I could wait for the source control polling to realize there's a change. Now while this is building, let's bounce over real quick to the configuration screen again. There's a couple things I want to show you. A few minutes ago when I was setting up my project, I used a global Nant setting. Now you can do that you can set that up in the configure system screen within the Hudson Management Console. And what you can do is you can come down here and there's a Nant builder, and you tell it where Nant is installed on your build server. That way it's just got a global location for it. You can give it any name you want, any valid directory you want, and you can actually add many of these if you need to. This will allow you to very easily make it so that everybody uses the same Nant, the same MS build, the same ant, whatever the product might be. And the last but not least, the one I like to show is the number of executors. This is how many background processes you want running or builds you want running simultaneously. I think out of the box it comes with 2. You can set up with 3, except for 5, 6, 7. I wouldn't go too nuts with that because you'll probably run into collisions at that point. 3 seems to be good for us at work. So my build is finished. It shows up blue as successful, and I've had one successful build out of 1 attempt, so I get the little sunny icon. Hudson's got these little sunny, cloudy, rainy icons that tell you how the build's been. And I can take a look here at last success, last failure, and duration. If I want to build it again, I can just click this build icon right there, and I'll kick off the build. So there you go. There's how you set up a very basic installation of Hudson. Doesn't do a whole lot, mind you, right? Just gets it out of the box, up and running as a Windows service. You can configure to run a single build with no testing, no metrics, no nothing. But it's very simple, and it will work, and it will allow your team to have a CI environment in about 10 or 12 minutes. All right, hope you learned something. Until next time.